Hey, I'm Holly Andrews. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my kitchen. I want to talk to you today about clean, healthy snack options. And that's because so many of the snack options that we find in our grocery stores are full of additives, omega-6 oils that are pro-inflammatory and gonna cause and wreak havoc on our bodies and increase our stress. And they're even hidden in things that you would not think they would be hidden in, things that we would normally consider healthy, that turn them into actually not really healthy options for us. This happened to me earlier this week, which is why I'm gonna show you this video and share with you this recipe, these recipes I'm gonna share today. I love hummus. I love hummus and veggie sticks. It's a great snack, got a lot of good healthy fats, some carbs, some protein, and when you balance that out with some other foods, right, it really makes a great addition to a snack, a salad, an appetizer. And I love Mediterranean food anyway. So I love hummus, and I've recently started adding a tablespoon here and there into my salads, and again, like as maybe a post-workout snack. And I buy a certain brand at the grocery store because it is labeled gluten-free, which is important to us as a family with my daughter being celiac. And that was really all I had looked for. And I happened to look at the ingredient label the other day and notice that these hummuses that I were buying, the basic hummus had sunflower oil in it. The everything but the bagel seasoning flavored hummus had, I think, sunflower oil and sugar and some other additives that I just don't want in my food. And I was just kind of like, you've got to be kidding me. Why are we putting this stuff in our food? Why do we need sugar in hummus? You don't. Why do we need to put sunflower oil or safflower oil in our hummuses when avocado oil or olive oil would do really just as well? And again, if you've been following me for a little bit, you've heard me talk about these seed and nut oils that are in all of our foods and that they're high in omega-6 fatty acids, which omega-6 fatty acids in and of themselves is not a bad thing. In everything that we can find at the grocery store, if you start looking for them, soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, I've got a whole list of these omega-6 oils. And what's happening is we're getting way too much of the omega-6 oils and way too little of the omega-3 fatty acids. And so we have this massive imbalance. And so by reducing the products that we're buying at the grocery store that have the omega-6 oils in them and increasing the olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil consumption when we're cooking or using them in our foods, we can start to bring those things back into balance, which is what we really, really need. In that vein, I am gonna show you today how to make clean hummus with just a few simple ingredients, a small food processor, and some olive oil and other really great for you anti-inflammatory ingredients, so that you know that you're feeding your body well. You're not feeding it things that are gonna be pro-inflammatory. You're actually feeding it things that are gonna be anti-inflammatory. Help your body reduce and maintain a relaxation response instead of kicking it into an inflammation or stress response. And those are all of those things that we've been talking about on how to keep our stress levels low and at bay, and a lot of it starts with nutrition. So let's talk about a basic hummus recipe, and then I'm gonna show you variations, at least 3 variations on that hummus recipe. All right, so to make your own hummus, you really just need a few simple things. You're going to need a can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. I prefer the organic ones that are low sodium so I can control the salt content, and I prefer to have organic. That's my preference, and I would highly recommend that, but certainly not necessary. I would rather you get any garbanzo beans than buy the stuff with all of the additional additives and the high omega-6 fatty acid oils. You're gonna need some tahini. Again, I've got the organic tahini. You're gonna need lemons. You need about 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, which is about what 1 lemon will give you. You're going to need some garlic, and you're gonna need salt, which this is my salt container, and a little bit of water should you need to thin the mixture out. And really that's it for a basic recipe. So you're gonna want to rinse your garbanzo beans or your chickpeas in a colander, rinse them off really nicely, let them dry out a little bit before we get to going on the recipe. I do have this small little food processor. I don't have a big one, so that's what we're gonna use. You could also use a blender if you don't have one of the big food processors. Basically anything that's gonna chop and blend the chickpeas and the tahini together is what you want and what you could use to make this recipe. So let's get going. All right, so I have my can of chickpeas that has been rinsed and drained, so I'm gonna add those into my little mini prep processor here. Then I need 3 tablespoons of tahini. All right, so that's our 3 tablespoons of tahini. And then I'm going to juice this lemon right in here. All right, we need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So that's 1. And again, this is gonna give us those good omega-3 fatty acids, which has all kinds of goodness for brain health. So we need 2 teaspoons of garlic. And then we're gonna pop the lid on and blend it up. We'll see if we need some water or not. Now, depending on how smooth or chunky you like your hummus, that's gonna depend on how much water you might or might not wanna play with. I'm going to grab a little bit of water here, do this, add water in just a little bit at a time, but you can kind of see that it's a little bit thick, it's a little bit chunky, so I'm just gonna add about 2 teaspoons of water here and go from there. So let's see. Yeah, we still got a little bit. I could take it a little bit smoother. So we're up to 4 teaspoons just in case you're tracking. That is much more like it. All right, so I'm gonna grab a carrot and give this a try. So again, this is the basic hummus recipe. All right, the carrots are not cooperating. All right, there we go. All right, let's try this. And I just realized I forgot the salt. So there you go, y'all. Not perfect in the kitchen. All right, let's get that salt. Try again. Much better. Okay, so that's the basic hummus recipe. Let's talk about variation. Basic hummus recipe, I love it. If I were to be serving this, I would probably drizzle a little bit more olive oil on top, right? But you've got a basic, clean, standard hummus recipe here. So let's talk about flavors, and I'm gonna post these on my blog so you can go grab your copy of the recipes from there, but I'm gonna show you how to do a roasted red pepper hummus, a sun-dried tomato and basil hummus, and a lemon dill hummus. So first, let's talk about the roasted red peppers. You can absolutely buy roasted red peppers in a jar from the grocery store. I chose not to do that because I didn't want the additional oils from those kind of jarred situations that you can get at the grocery store. So I found a really simple air fryer recipe for roasted red peppers that's linked in the recipe on my blog. So grab that, but it literally took about 20 minutes, about 18 minutes in the air fryer total. And all I did was cut up the pepper to remove the seeds and the membranes, threw it in the air fryer at 375 for 18 minutes total, didn't even let the air fryer preheat. And I turned the peppers after about 10 minutes. Then I opened the drawer, let some of that heat escape, put the drawer back in and let that skin kind of, bubble up. And it was super simple to remove the skin from the peppers. And I wound up with these beautiful, one beautiful roasted red pepper there that I'm gonna add to the hummus. So that was very easy. You can obviously use your oven to roast the red peppers. It just takes a little bit longer, but still, I would recommend this over jarred any day unless you really don't have the time to wait on a roasted red pepper that you can make yourself, and that's okay. I get that. The sun-dried tomato and basil is exactly what it sounds like. I got some bagged, not jarred, but bagged sun-dried tomatoes from the grocery store, and a handful, I've got some fresh basil that we'll use for that recipe. And then I picked up the lemon dill hummus is the basic hummus recipe with a little bit extra lemon and dill added in. So again, you're using this basic hummus recipe as your base, and then you're adding to it if you want to do the flavors. Otherwise, the standard hummus recipe is perfect in and of itself. But let me show you how these turn out when I make them with the different flavors. All right, so as I said, I have my roasted red pepper that has now completely cooled. And I'm just gonna give it kind of a little bit of a rough chop so that we can get it blended in really well. I'm just using one red pepper, but if you really like that roasted red pepper flavor, you can obviously use more than that. But it's as simple as taking that basic hummus recipe and adding that roasted red pepper in right on top. So now we're gonna just chop that up in there. You may not be able to see it on the screen, but I can see that it has turned that kind of pink color that a roasted red pepper hummus would have. All right, and that's really good. So that was it. So let me show you how to do the sun-dried tomato and basil. So we have our basic hummus recipe, again, to start the sun-dried tomato and basil. And I've got my sun-dried tomatoes here. So I'm just gonna grab about a 1/4 cup of those and toss them in. And then I've got some organic basil here. My basil in the garden is not quite ready for harvesting, so I just grabbed some of this stuff from the store. And you're gonna take about, a handful of basil leaves or more if you really like basil. I love basil, so I'm probably gonna grab a little bit more than just a handful. It's probably 7 or 8. These leaves are pretty tiny leaves, so we're gonna give that a go. And so you just toss these in on top of your basic recipe and blend them together. So again, I have my hand-kneaded carrot for a taste test. That's really good. All right, so next up and last is the lemon dill. So let's make that lemon dill hummus. So I've got, again, my basic hummus recipe, and because this is lemon dill hummus, I want to give that a little bit extra lemon flavor. So I'm going to add another half of a lemon juice in here. And I forgot to roll my lemon before I did this, so it's being a little bit not nice, but that's okay. There we go. All right, and then I want to get about 2 tablespoons of chopped dill, and again, my dill in the garden is not quite ready for harvesting, so I got this dill at the store, and just gonna pull some of the leaves off and give it oh, that smells amazing. Give it a rough chop and let the blender do the rest. Okay, I'm thinking that's probably gonna do it here. I can always add more if I want to later. So again, just gonna give it kind of a rough chop and then let the little mini food processor do the rest. All right, and again, obviously if you love dill, feel free to go crazy. All right, that looks about blended. You can see all those little flecks of green in there. I'm gonna add some more dill. I don't quite taste it, so you can play around with how strong you want your flavors. You can also obviously use dried dill and it will be just good. I'm not gonna bother with the rough chopping. I feel like the blender does a good enough job here. And you know, the longer that this sits and the flavors can meld together, the stronger the dill flavor will become. But I happen to like dill. All right, so let's get another carrot here. Yeah, okay, that works. So, all right, so we're done with our variations. All right, friends, I hope that you enjoyed these hummus recipes, the variations on them, and how simple they were to throw together. I'm gonna start making these for myself and my family. I love these hummus recipes. I hope that you do too, and they're great post-workout snacks, kiddo snacks, and also they make really pretty appetizers. Look at those, aren't they pretty? So I hope that you all have a wonderful week and look for those anti-inflammatory omega-3s, look for those pro-inflammatory omega-6 seed and nut oils, stay away from them. Enjoy your kitchen, enjoy the week ahead, and until next time, I believe that you can heal your stress from the inside out.